Hi, good to be back. I miss doing it. It's been probably pretty close to a month now. Life gets in the way sometimes with best laid plans of mice and men, as they say. So I had some requests from Krista, from other friends about fried chicken, and I'm doing a version of fried chicken today. You can obviously do this multiple different ways. I'm going to talk to you specifically about this version and kind of then generally about fried chicken in general, okay? So first thing I'm going to do is talk to you about the chicken itself. Then I'm going to wash my hands and clean up so I'm not cross-contaminating anything. Then I'll come back and we'll deal with making the roasted garlic aioli. And I want to talk to you about the buttermilk and the brine, for lack of a better term, what I soak my chicken in for 24 hours. So let's talk about the chicken and then we'll put it away and get cleaned up. I get my chicken, we have a local place right here that is a chicken facility. They kill them, they butcher them, and occasionally they sell 40-pound boxes of chicken. So I buy my chicken 40 pounds at a time. Boneless, skinless breast, boneless, skinless thighs, wings, whatever. They all come in these huge 40-pound boxes. And quite frankly, they're enormous, very high quality product. I'm not going to whip it out of the bag because that's just going to cause bigger problems. But these breasts are, as you can see, I mean, guys, it's as big as my hand or bigger. So what I've done in this case, because it's chicken breasts, I've taken and I'm making chicken sandwiches. If you wanted to fry these whole, you could. Not my highly recommend thing because breasts get a little dry as they get done to the center because they're so big. So what I do, even if I'm just frying chicken breast and I wanted to fry chicken breast, I slice mine in half and I pound them. Meat hammer, everybody's got one. I've got mine in the dishwasher. We'd be seeing it right now. And we just pound them out so that they're a little bit tenderized. Then I marinate them, then I dredge them, then I fry them. Boneless, skinless thighs, you can kind of do as they are. If you're doing bone-in chicken, the thing is with bone-in chicken, you have to cook it at a lower temperature for a longer period of time. So the inside gets done without burning the outside. Kind of like a cookie, right? So in this case, I took these breasts and I sliced them flat, laid them open, and so there were 2 pieces. And then depending on the size of that, I either cut those into 2 or 3, and then we pounded those flat. So what I'm looking for here is a piece of chicken that'll fit on a hamburger bun and be, about that thick when it's pounded out. And then I marinate it in butter. So what that looks like is I take the breasts, and again, I'm not going to open this, but you can see layers of chicken. So I layer a bunch of chicken breasts, then I add some of my buttermilk marinade. Then I add another layer of chicken breasts and buttermilk marinade. Same thing. Put this in the refrigerator, 24 hours minimum. I've gone 48, I've gone 72. As long as your chicken's fresh, you're fine. And the buttermilk and all the spices soak into the chicken. It makes it more tender, it's delicious. And the buttermilk then, when we show you the dredge, acts as the adherence for the flour and the panko breadcrumbs, which I use, and I'll show you, to get everything to stick to the chicken. So I want a nice, crisp crust of chicken on the crust on the outside. I want a tender, moist chicken on the inside, juicy, and that's what I end up with. So I'm going to show you how to make the buttermilk. But first, we're going to put this in the refrigerator again. I'm going to wash my hands and I'll come right back. Okay? Good. Okay. Clean hands, clean counter, everything's good. Rob, how much buttermilk do you use to coat your chicken? The answer is enough. Enough. In that 4-quart, 4.5-quart, almost 5-quart container full of chicken breasts, I made 4 cups-ish of buttermilk. And I ended up drinking the last part because I didn't use it all. Probably about a cup and a half. Bob, you drink buttermilk? Yes. Raised by my father, Jerry Nielsen, who grew up on a dairy farm. So yes, he liked clabbered milk. You Google it, I ain't getting into it. But Dad was, not everybody's taste for buttermilk. Kind of tastes like you're drinking plain yogurt, but thinner. So it's kind of a tart, maybe a little sour creamy. I like it with a little salt and pepper. We're going to talk about how I season it for the chicken now. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to drink it because I'm not going to waste it. I'm just going to make a little bit so you can kind of get an idea, okay? But I've said it how many times, if you're not tasting as you're cooking, then I could make this super salty and ruin my whole batch of chicken. Who wants that? I can make it not salty enough and ruin my whole batch of chicken. Who wants that? So I'm going to Listen, just taste it. It's not going to kill you, right? So if you don't like sour cream, okay, you got a whole different problem on your hands. Get one of your members of your family to taste it. So, Happy Cow whole buttermilk. Oh, I'm so happy to have Happy Cow near me. I really am. Can you find good quality whole fat buttermilk in your grocery store? Yes, I just used some. Occasionally I can't find it. If you can't find whole fat buttermilk, can you use low fat? Yeah, it's not as good. Can I use fat-free buttermilk? Yeah. Listen, you're gonna be thinner than I am, but you're also gonna be sadder because your chicken's not gonna be as good. It's just simple fact. Whole milk buttermilk, whole fat buttermilk, fantastic stuff. And this is a really good quality product. So, can I use dehydrated buttermilk? Don't put my name on it. Don't tell them you learned the recipe from me. If you're using fat-free or you're using dehydrated buttermilk, don't be like, hey, my friend Rob taught me how to make chicken and blah, blah. Don't put raisins in your cookies and told them Rob told you to either, because I never did. And I've got proof now, video proof. So always shake it. And hold on to your lid, because guys, you don't need buttermilk all over your kitchen, right? So just gonna pour a little in the cup. And by the way, good probiotic too. I mean, if you're gonna eat yogurt, why not? Now, in my fried chicken, I like Tony Sashers. I like it to just have, listen, it offers a little bit of onion powder, a little bit of garlic powder, a little paprika, a little bit of cayenne. Am I making super high spicy hot chicken? No. Does anybody eating this fried chicken go, oh, it's so hot? No. It just adds a good flavor profile. It's a great ingredient, and I use it regularly. Do I use it every time? No, I don't use it every time because I don't have it every time. I'm often out, and then I haven't gotten to the store, so I don't have any more Tonys, and there you go. So I'm gonna add a little bit this morning because I have it. About a teaspoon, half a teaspoon into this maybe scant cup, right? I do like black pepper, and I'm gonna put another, maybe a half a teaspoon of black pepper, and then I'm gonna taste it, because that might be salty enough. If it's not, and I don't wanna add any more cayenne, I've got regular salt. If it's not spicy at all and I wanna add a little more, then I'm good. So just stir it up, you gotta get it well mixed, right? I'll tell you right now, it's pretty good. Yeah, see, that's perfect. I wouldn't add one more thing. Oh, Rob, I tasted mine and it's super salty. Add this. Oh, Rob, I tasted mine and it's just spicy enough, but it's not salty enough. Rob, I really want more pepper. Rob, I really want to make a garlic fried chicken. Cool. Dehydrated, ground, granulated garlic. It's yours. Do what you want with it. But Rob, can I? Guys, let's just deal with that generally. I'm in a lot of cooking groups on Facebook. Vanilla making groups, baking groups, charcuterie groups. And I see a lot of, let's call them amateur home cooks. Let's just call them people who cook by recipe only. I don't want to use the word unimaginative because, hey, if you're in the kitchen, good for you. But they ask questions like, can I? Yes. I mean, just generally, yes, it's your kitchen. Is everything you try going to turn out perfectly? No. Guys, I cook all the time and it turns out, mediocre. I made a recipe for dinner on Thursday night. I thought it was going to be great. In my head, it was great. On the plate, it was a 7.5. It was fine. We've got leftovers. We're eating them. It'll get eaten. What doesn't get eaten will get fed to the chickens. The pasta was fantastic. The sauce I tried to make it was a beef bourguignon type sauce. It's a little more winey than I'd like it to be. I can adjust later, right? So I see people on the vanilla groups. Can I use bourbon instead of vodka to make my vanilla? Yes. Can I use rum? Yes. You can use rum. You can use anything you want. There's just certain parameters, okay? So the same thing with this. What can I do to my buttermilk? Can I add sugar to it? Sure, it'll taste terrible. Try it once. You'll know afterwards. Easy, right? Can I add fresh garlic? 100%. Will it burn underneath the crust? Probably. Maybe not. Try it. Try it. I'm not going to be the guy that tries it because I got granulated garlic. But there you go. So, look, I love this stuff. I made it a little salty yesterday to soak the chicken in because it was a lot of chicken. And then I just poured another little bit. I had about this much, about this much left over. I just topped off my cup with this and it became perfect to drink. So, do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. Try it. If you can't have buttermilk, wow, private message me if you can't have buttermilk and I'll see what I can do to find something else for you. But buttermilk really is the key to great Southern fried chicken. It just is. And you Southern cooks out there that are gonna yell and scream when I dredge this in panko breadcrumbs, this is my fried chicken. You don't wanna use panko? Don't use panko. I love the crunch the panko gives. I love the bulk that it adds to the crust. The other key to crusty chicken, and we're gonna talk about that later again, is once this is soaked for 24 hours, I bread my chicken a minimum of 1 hour before I fry my chicken, because the longer it has to adhere and to hydrate that flour crust, the better that flour crust is going to stick to your chicken. You ever taken a bite of chicken and the crust falls off and you're stuck with chicken in your hand and crust over here? It's because somebody dredged their chicken and chucked it right in the oil. That's the only way it happens. What happens is the buttermilk doesn't have time to hydrate the flour and get the flour stuck to the chicken and then have it be all one. It's a little bit of buttermilk, just that little sheen of buttermilk, and the flour on the outside, you fry it, it leaves the barrier, and you bite it, and everything just falls apart. Not great. So, I'm gonna clean this up and come back, and we're gonna make the garlic aioli, okay? Hang in there, be right back. Okay, that's staying, that's breakfast. Oh, and yeah, I shaved. It's getting warmer, wearing a mask over a beard sucked. I shaved. I'll grow it back during deer season. So no big loss. I can grow a beard in no time. Just kind of how it is. So let's talk about the garlic aioli. There are lots of ways to do this, guys. This is the Rob way. If you get on Google and you Google homemade mayonnaise, homemade aioli, I saw an aioli recipe that was only garlic and olive oil. No eggs. Who knew? I saw a mayo recipe they added water to. Oh, okay, you crazy people, do what you're gonna do. I don't do it that way. I do what I do, and I don't do it the same every time. I have some basic rules I follow, but it kind of goes, again, to taste. How does it taste? So, first thing we gotta talk about, roasted garlic. Well, Rob, where can I buy roasted garlic? I'm sure you can find it in some good stores. I'm sure it's expensive. So, let's talk about that for a second. Go to the store and garlic is cheap. Whole heads of garlic, right? Cheap. So I took 2 of these and I sliced off just the top 25 to 30%, just enough so that all the heads of garlic on the top were open. I cut off enough, just enough at the top, so that the little cloves, I can see into them, okay? Leave the paper on, leave it whole, just like this. Then I double folded, created a double fold of aluminum foil into a square, and I put them on that fold, drizzled a little olive oil on the top, sprinkled them with a little salt, folded the sides up to create kind of a bowl, and then enclosed it. And I stuck it in my little air fryer for an hour at 275 degrees. Let it turn off, let it sit. Don't touch it. I came back in a couple of hours. It was cool, room temperature. I slid it out. I opened the aluminum foil, and then you just grab the bottom, and it will be soft. Grab the bottom and start squeezing, and just squeeze it out like toothpaste. It will all pop out into the bowl, and some of them will get crushed, and some will be whole. It won't matter because it's going in the food processor. And that, my friends, is sweet, lovely roasted garlic. Will it give you garlic breath? Yes, but not as bad as raw garlic. So if you want to eat it like that, spread it on a little bit of toast. Fantastic. Take some like Italian or French bread or some of the focaccia bread you make and grill it brown with just a little bit of butter and that spread on top. Forget about it. So whole garlic is your friend. I keep it around the house all the time. If I'm out of whole garlic, I can't cook. So we'll chuck that over there. Eggs. I'm gonna start with eggs. I have listen, I read the mayo recipes online. I've read them all. Some of them use whole eggs, some of them use egg yolks. I use kind of a combo. So eggs from my chickens, best to be room temperature. Best to be room temperature. Oh, just drop that in there. Rob, what if I can't find room temperature eggs? Or what if I, don't get my eggs to room temperature before I start this? I read online that occasionally the mayo doesn't thicken like you want it to. Well, this is going to be kind of a spread and kind of a mayonnaise, so I don't want it super thick anyway. These are room temperature. I guess what I'm saying is don't sweat it, right? Don't sweat it. It'll be okay. set them out for a couple hours. That's all you gotta do, just remember to do that. So I have one whole egg, and as you noticed, I cracked 2 eggs into this bowl. I just use my hands, best kitchen tool there is. And all I wanna do is get 1 yolk, 2 yolks out, and I'll set the yolks aside for something else. I'll cook them up, feed them to the dogs, cook them up, feed them to the chickens. Yes, my chickens love eggs. They love egg shells. Keep their calcium high with that. So I'm just gonna set that aside. I put my little eggshell, eggy nest there a little bit. But Rob, your eggs are whole right out of your chickens? Yes, and we just soak them in water, clean off all the gunk, and then put them aside in the fridge. You don't pasteurize or, no. We've had chickens for longer than, yeah, probably 15 years all told. Never had anybody get sick from an egg, never had anybody get salmonella. I know what goes in their food, I know what goes in their coop. Very clean, okay? So I've seen people on chicken threads that don't ever put their eggs in a refrigerator. Leave them out for weeks at a time and eat them, and they're fine. So don't get on me. So I add the yolks and stuff, I add a little bit, just a little bit, maybe like a half a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Kind of as a seasoning more than anything, and it helps emulsify. And then I've got the juice of 1 large lemon. That's kind of the rule I do stick to, is that I only use fresh lemon juice. If I don't have fresh lemon juice, I won't use lemon juice out of a bottle in something that's so close to being eaten. So like, for example, I use bottled lemon juice. I do use it, it's just used in like recipes that aren't going directly in a dip or in something I'm gonna drink, or like on my fruit salad. I always want fresh lemon juice. I find ways to use, like if I don't have buttermilk, perfect. If I don't have buttermilk, I pour a little bit of lemon juice in my milk and stir it. It thickens and coagulates. I use that in pancakes or whatever in a recipe. So I do keep bottled lemon juice, and I use it in a pinch, but I prefer not to use it in this. So the juice of 1 lemon, a pinch of salt. I'm gonna put a dash of this, just because I can, and I'm gonna pepper that a little bit. So I'd say half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of the sachet, and yeah, a good half teaspoon of the pepper. And I'm gonna put this on here, and we're gonna start it up. Now, then we're going to drizzle in the oil. And I'm gonna use mostly olive oil, but I can use vegetable oil, you can use grapeseed oil, people use avocado oil. Go wild, right? But you put it, you drizzle it in, you get it started thickening, thicken it, and then at the last, once I've got it where I want it from a mayonnaise perspective or an aioli perspective, then I'm gonna dump this in and just kind of pulse it a couple times so that somebody gets a little bit of a chunk of garlic maybe, but I don't want them whole, but I also don't want them pulverized into completely. So we're going on. And I'm starting with vegetable oil, just everyday good old vegetable oil, and I'm gonna add a mix. And can you blend? Obviously you can, because I'm going to. And I'm just gonna start drizzling just a little bit. I can hear it, it sounds different, so it's obviously emulsifying. I'm gonna say that's about a half a cup of vegetable oil, and then I'm gonna go to olive oil. I have, in the past, used better olive oil. I don't have any right now. I've used it all, so I'm using a cheaper olive oil. I prefer the better, but it is what it is. I'm not going to the store. So I'm just drizzling olive oil. You can hear it. It sounds a little lower and rumblier. Now, it's nice and creamy looking as it runs. I'm gonna let it go for a minute here and just kind of aerate. Lovely. Now, don't have a spoon, hold on. Just grabbing a spoon, easy. So, what do we have? Let's do that the other direction so you can see it, okay? We have a creamy, kind of thick. It's not quite like mayonnaise you get out of a jar, right? But it is creamy and thick. And freaking delicious. Tastes like olive oil. You can taste a little bit of the lemon juice. I'm gonna salt it just a little more, another little maybe half a teaspoon, okay? Then the whole thing, two heads of roasted garlic. Come on, get in there. There we go, all gone. Now I'm just gonna pulse it a few times. Now it kind of looks like, tartar sauce for consistency. I mean, there's little tiny bits of garlic you can see in it, but they're not huge. They're not big chunks of garlic, and some of it obviously has gotten blended into. Garlicky and a little bit lemony, which really heightens the flavor. I gotta tell you, I'm gonna do a little bit more salt. Again, we gotta taste, right? You've gotta taste as you go. Another half teaspoon of salt. And honestly, I'm gonna go another half a teaspoon of pepper. Just kind of needs it. But Rob, what if I think it tastes fantastic and I don't want to add more? I'm so happy for you. Don't. It's your recipe, right? This isn't my recipe. It's my recipe for how I'm going to serve it today. I want you to serve it how you want to serve it. So, bingo. Now, I'm making roasted potatoes. I'm going to take some little baby potatoes, and we'll talk about those. I'll show you what I'm doing with them. I'm just going to boil them in some heavily salted water, and we're going to smash them flat, drizzle them in olive oil and some coarse salt. We're going to smash them flat, and then we're going to roast them at like 425 in a convection oven for about a half an hour. They're going to be crispy on the outside, they'll be soft and tender on the inside because they're boiled. They'll be delicious. We're going to crust the chicken. So we'll get that going at the next part of the video, so hang in there. And you'll see how I crust the chicken, and you'll see what I'm doing with the potatoes, okay? Great. Okay, so a couple of changes from what I talked about earlier. I didn't show you guys how to make the rolls, because honestly, we've done bread, you know what I'm saying? So I put it in the KitchenAid mixer, I mixed it, I shaped it. Kai is busily egg washing it. The recipe you want to follow is called Beautiful Burger Buns on the King Arthur website. So there's a little search bar, a little magnifying glass, you go right on there, Beautiful Burger Buns. That's what we did. I followed their recipe exactly. So there it is. It's a little stickier than I wanted it to be. I had to use flour when I rolled them out. Hand those here, Kai, and I'll show the camera what they at least look like. So these have been lovely and egg washed, okay? The oven is at 250, it's going to 375. When it hits 375, these are going in for 15 minutes. While we were doing that awesomeness, and it's risen a couple times, I went ahead and boiled the potatoes, because what you do is you boil the potatoes, then you oil the potatoes, then you smash the potatoes, then you season the potatoes, then the potatoes go in, which will be at like 400, and it'll be after those come out. So I want to kind of get those prepped. Then we're going to do the chicken, so kind of all in one. Also wanted to kind of, because I was recording before, I talked about using your imagination and what you can do, and I kind of expanded on that a little bit. I want to expand on it a little more. The fact of the matter is, guys, that most of what I come up with because I'm willing to experiment. And sometimes it tastes not great. That happened for like a long time, for 2 or 3 years, and I tried something new. And that's really where I came to understand flavor profiles and how they work together and stuff. So all I'm really trying to do here is encourage you to say, why not, and give it a go. Now, listen, you can read online, and some things are just going to be terrible. Am I ever going to cut open one of my vanilla beans and put vanilla caviar in my taco meat? No! But am I going to try a different hot sauce or a different mix or, a different way to make the corn tortillas or hand make them or something? Absolutely. So kind of work within what it really is, but then, make it your own. If you're not making it your own, you're just doing what I do. And while that's pretty good, I'd much rather have it be your own. So this recipe's perfect. It's freaking potatoes, right? Do you know how many recipes there are for these potatoes online? Look up salted roasted potatoes. They've got some they boil, they're really salty. I used a lot more salt than normal, a little less than I would have if I was following that recipe. Some guys are like, oh no, you've got to season them first before you crush them. Yeah, you know what, I don't want to. It's just not how I'm gonna do it. So, these are the potatoes. They are about yay big. These are still quite warm. I just pulled them off of boiling. They boiled for about 15 minutes. Okay, I made sure they were clean. I got the stems pulled off. This one had a little spot. I cut it off. They're going in this lovely bowl, just like they are, okay? Because if I smash them and they don't have a little bit of olive oil on them, they're probably gonna stick really bad to what I used to smash them. So I'm just gonna drizzle a little bit of olive oil down across them. It's probably maybe a quarter, third of a cup. And then we're gonna toss them. And they're gonna get nice and covered in olive oil. And look, shiny and everything. Now, it was in the dishwasher before. I'm gonna show you what we use to smash things around here. I have a hammer, flat side, rough side, used for smacking steaks and all sorts of, it's a meat tenderizing hammer. That's what it is. I got this one a while back. I really like it because it enables me to use the motion where I'm pounding it. It also allows me to use kind of angles a little better if I've got a part that's a little thicker or not. It's got a really cool spiky, right? Pretty cool and spiky. And then it's got a nice flat one. In this case, take it off. I've took it off because it was in the dishwasher spiky side down from smashing chicken. And I spin it on here and I'm nice and flat to smash my potatoes. So then, got all my potatoes. I put parchment paper down. Why did you put parchment paper down? Because I really don't want them to stick. So I'm kind of just adding a second layer so that I don't have to get a spatula and pull them off of here later. So, guys, I'm literally smashing them to be a little less than a ½ inch. Can you just push on them and then slide off? Yes. Let's see what happens. So I'm gonna put it back together. Oh my, Rob, your potatoes aren't perfect. No, they are not. But that one will come up together and go crisp. It's fine. I'm gonna just smash them and push them off. Now, ooh, a purple potato, kind of cool. So this is what I'm gonna do. In fact, what I'm gonna do is hand this off to Kai and let him do it so that I can bread some chicken and get through the loveliness of the rest of it. You got that, bud? All right, he's gonna smash them. When he's done smashing them, I'm gonna drizzle the rest of this olive oil right on the top of them. We're gonna season them, they'll be delicious. So let me get rid of this real quick and come back over. See, told you real quick. By the way, what am I seasoning them with? Fresh ground black pepper, ground this morning, and Celtic sea salt. This is one of my new favorites. It's really, really good. It's coarse. It's light gray. It isn't as salty as other salts because it has a lot of other minerals in it. It comes out of Europe. Fantastic. And the other salt I have, which I bought, had in a box, and took out of the box. Do you remember what they called this? Melon? I'll teach you the name later. It's a very coarse, flaky, malten, something like that. Malden, M-A-L-D-E-N. You can buy it on Amazon. Malden salts out of Europe. This is very salty. This is really just salted. It's nice, big, huge, flat flakes of salt. A little saltier than what I'm going with here. So we're gonna use the Celtic sea salt on that one, but perfectly available. $3.75. Buns are going in, little rack, middle of the oven. All right, let's get out our chicken. I'm gonna work right to left just because it's easy. So we're doing this quite a bit earlier. It is 2:40. I probably won't start frying this till 3:45 so we can eat at 4 o'clock, 4:15, something like that. So what I've got in here is a few cups of, 9x13 pan, a few cups of flour. I'm gonna say it's, if I spread it out, it's pretty close to an inch deep in the pan. So I'd easily call that 5 or 6 cups of flour. I'm gonna take more flour and I'm going to gently and liberally sprinkle it across this pan because I don't want my chicken to stick. Because having your crust stick to this pan when you go to pick it up to fry it, I assure you, is not super cool. Although, I don't have that happen very often. because I flour this, because I really batter these up. Well, I don't batter them up. I really coat them, okay? Good old fashioned, guys, just panko, generic, right? In it goes. Now, I want to mimic my seasoning from the buttermilk. So what did we use? We used fresh ground black pepper, a good teaspoon and a half of that in there. We used Tony Chachere's seasoning. We're gonna go with about a good tablespoon in there and a good tablespoon of, excuse me, of salt that Tony's got in my face. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Tony's bringing the heat. So, you have to season your crust as well as your buttermilk. The buttermilk's touching the chicken, but if I put a bunch of unseasoned crust on the chicken and then try to serve it, you get, you're lacking flavor. You've got to put it in layers. Seasoning in layers, very, 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 very important. So now, I've got this just whisked together, okay? That's it. Look, uniform. You can see some of the panko on top a little bit. It all mixes in, okay? But it's all uniform. That's really the most important. Then pull the lid off. Now, gotta see how I do this. The chicken has a bunch of buttermilk on or around it, but if it wasn't even, then I'm gonna wipe it back and forth. Does two things. I'm gonna let it drip. So I've got some on there and some, I don't want gallons hanging off of there, but I'm gonna put one down. And since they're about this size, again, like I said, what I was trying to do is make chicken for chicken sandwiches, right? Take a second one here, drip them in it, and I'm gonna put it down here. Now, I got my wet hands. Excuse me, I'm gonna grab my towel. I have a towel I'm gonna throw in the dirty clothes. So I've got this towel right here. Oh man, pepper in the face. I'm gonna wipe my fingers off on that. Wipe my eyes off. And then I'm gonna take the extra crumbs and stuff and I'm gonna pour it right on top with my good hand, okay? Then I am going to press down. I'm going to create pressure on top of that piece of chicken to force the flour and panko breadcrumbs to adhere to my chicken, okay? Then, when I'm ready, I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna look at it. Oh, look, I missed a spot. Guess what? I can put it right back down. I can shove some more in there. I want it well covered. I have a spot over here. If I go to pick it up and I'm looking at milk, I'm looking at buttermilk, it's not what I want. I want a covered chicken cutlet. And then right onto the pan. This one, same thing. Press down, press down, press down. Chicken cutlet. Onto the pan, right in the flour. So here we go, same two fingers. Hey guys, this is what I'm gonna do, back and forth. I'm gonna rub this back and forth across here. Making sure I have a little bit in the bottom of the pan. I have a lot of it actually. I'm gonna pull some aside over here because again, I have to pour it over the top. So I have one piece of chicken. It goes in, it folds over, I unfold it, I poke it down. I get a secondary piece of chicken. And we're gonna drip it off. And then, look, Tony Chachere's even got kai. And then we're gonna dump this right on top and shove it down. And that's how I bread my chicken. This is it, you got it. That's all there is to this. So, I'm gonna finish breading chicken. Kai is gonna finish smashing potatoes. And then, when it's time to actually fry the chicken, we'll come back and finish off the recording because I know that temperatures and times and things like that are a big thing about frying chicken. So again, obviously if you're doing a bone-in chicken, it's a different time and a different heat. These are gonna go pretty fast. I'm gonna fry these at probably somewhere around 325, maybe even just slightly hotter. And I'm going to do them until they're golden brown and delicious. I keep a little digital thermometer near me, so I make sure they're 165 degrees internally. That's really the key. If you're doing that with bone-in chicken, what you're gonna find is that it's gonna take longer, and that if you're at 325, 350, I think you're probably going to find that your breading is burned and the exterior of the chicken itself, the outside portion of meat is, you know, drier than you want it to be, and the inside will be great. So a little lower and a little slower. Go with say like 300, 310, and go a little longer, and I think you'll end up with a better product. I wouldn't go below 300. When I fry my turkey at Thanksgiving, it's usually at, you know, between 350, around 315 without, but it doesn't have any breading on it to really burn. It's that outside skin to keep it crisp. So we'll be back in a few minutes as soon as I'm done breading chicken and the potatoes are done and we're ready to fry. So hang in there. All right, we're gonna fry off our chicken. I have a lot more chicken. I put it in buttermilk because I wanted to go ahead and do it because maybe like Tuesday night, I'll fry it off and we'll have it a different way. This is really my basis for whether I make chicken parmesan or chicken cordon bleu. I don't slice the chicken and stuff ham and cheese in it. I do this, and then I put Swiss on it, and then a little slice of ham, stick it in the oven, let the cheese melt, put my gravy over the top of it. Fan-freaking-tastic. So the other thing on the stove, I want to kind of talk about that because, listen, everybody's like, oh, Rob doesn't cook out of cans. Not normally, but you know what? Sometimes when you're looking for a side, it's quick and it's easy. I went to the store and I bought myself a couple cans of Bush's baked beans. They're great, right? I like to doctor them up a little bit. I like them to have a little bit more flavor. So to this thing of Bush's baked beans, I added a little pepper and a little Worcestershire sauce and a little bit of salt and a little bit of this. Now, this is Spiceology. Spiceology. Look them up. Porter turned me onto this. Thanks, Porter. I have he sent me a huge box of flavorings. Guys, this is their candied bacon Shiraka blend. Yeah. Candied bacon Shiraka blend. It's good in tomato juice. It's good on chicken. It's good on ribs. It's good on everything. If I sprinkle it on my own hand, I'd be licking myself like a cat. It's fantastic, okay? So I put a little bit of this in here. Gives it a little bit of heat, a little bit of sweet, a little more of the bacon you want in baked beans anyway, right? Fantastic. I got my oil up to temperature. In fact, I got it a little over temperature, so I set it off the heat. I turned the heat down, I set it off the heat so it can kind of wait just a minute. And then I'm gonna put chicken in and that'll cool it and back over here. So I got my tray set up to catch, after you fry the chicken, gotta have somewhere for it to rest. That's all done. We sliced off some red onion, sliced some tomato, got some lettuce, a little bacon, and my aioli. That's dinner. Roasted potatoes, sandwiches, baked beans. Oh, don't move. I'm gonna show you something. The rolls, the buns, the hamburger buns came out of the oven. That's what they look like. I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. There's nothing to say there. What do you say? They look great? Yeah, they do. If you don't think they look great, we got a whole different conversation to have. And potentially it's about you not knowing what a great looking bun looks like. So nobody wants to do that. So I go about 2 pieces of chicken at a time. I am using my Dutch oven. Listen, is there a little loose flour on here? Yes. Does it get in the bottom of the pan? Yes. You clean it out later? Yes. So going right in away from me, gently. Don't want to splash oil everywhere. That's not the answer. Just gently shake them off. 2 pieces of chicken in the oil. Oil back over on the heat. I want my oil. This really got to about 360. If I set it off, I wanted to get it down closer to 330, 340. It's acting just right now. I got my heat down on a 6, so should be okay. Frying nicely. Take the temperature. 342, 340, 338. Good. Slow it down. Now, I'm going to make sure they don't stick to the bottom. If I'm cooking in a cast iron skillet, sometimes letting them stick to the bottom, or people want to have a little barking on that. It's not really what I'm looking for here. I want to kind of just deep fry these top and bottom. Keep the process long anyway, rather than having to turn. So we're going to let those go. And I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to show you one time. And then, Krista, you're on your own after that. 325 to 340 for what I'm trying to do here. And then you're going to see what color they turn out from, flowers to golden brown and delicious.
I'm gonna take the temperature, okay? And once we know that the temp is right on the inside of the chicken, we're good. There's nothing else to deal with. So just watching and watching. I mean, this is the boring part. So you can fast forward or I'll cut this out in a minute anyway. Okay, I think we're getting really close. Wow, how do you know? Did you turn the color? Yes. And they came to the top. So when it's raw, when the food is raw and coated like this, tends to have a desire to stay at the bottom. And when I'm frying French fries come to the top when they're done. Chicken does the same thing. I still absolutely want to check it with the thermometer. I don't ever want to be like, oh, that looks right, and serve somebody undercooked chicken. Undercooked poultry is not the key to your happiness. It is not delicious and has the potential to make you quite sick. So, not how I'm going to go about it. I am going to just make sure the color is right. That is a lovely, lovely piece of chicken. Okay, I'm going to set it right over here. I've got my digital instant read thermometer right into a fatty part of meat. 188, 190, clearly done. Clearly done. Check it in a few spots just to make sure I'm not wrong. Clearly done. That is a very done piece of chicken. I'm going to pull this one, put it over here, and we're going to check a couple of more spots. Well, thank you, thermometer, for going off just in the nick of time. Oh yeah, we are clearly done. Clearly done. So, guys, I'm going to add 2 more pieces of chicken. We're going to go through this process. We're going to do this a few times. Then we're going to eat it. So, just get in the kitchen, cook. Try something new. Try something different. Try something you haven't tried before. Ask yourself questions. Would it taste good if? No way to know until you try it, right? So, I'm going to feed my family. Oh, roasted potatoes. Hang on. I'm going to show you the roasted potatoes, just in case you had any questions about whether they were awesome or not. We got a few more minutes, but you see the skin is crisping up on the edges and they're getting crispy and lovely. You see the pieces of salt. I mean, guys, if that doesn't make you happy about what's about to happen here, I don't know what to tell you. So have a good rest of your day. Go get into the kitchen, cook with your kids, teach them something. It'll be good for them later on. They'll appreciate it. See you soon.